Well, maybe it'd be helpful to say what Refract is, and then I'm curious, like how that particular idea was what you decided to work on.
Awesome. Yeah, definitely. So Refract is a self-therapy assistant. I did a lot of therapy, a lot of self-therapy over my sabbatical, and yeah, just saw how powerful this stuff is. Like things were moving in me that I didn't know could move. And so I'm building, our team is building something to help people do self-therapy effectively. Like it's a full system. So there's the heart of it is an AI guide leads you through a voice session where you're following the IFS or core transformation or focusing script, and I think we'll go beyond that eventually. Yeah, a full session there, but then there's also the system around it. So the full picture is you on Tuesday are out with your friends, someone says something, you have a confusing emotional reaction, like maybe you shut down or maybe you have an anger response, a flash anger response, and so then you can take a sec, go for a smoke break, hit the bathroom, leave a voice note for a couple minutes of just here's what's going on, here's what I'm feeling, just like try and stream of consciousness the activation. And yeah, maybe use a tool like a mode that we have to just like unblend you and calm you down and ground you to help you kind of get through that activation. But then that Thursday, you come in for your scheduled session, and this will be an hour long IFS session, and the guide reads your words back to you. Like it helps you get activated, it helps you get into that moment, which yeah, can be very challenging with any type of therapy, and especially when you're sitting alone and there's not another human to really prompt you and feel into you. So you get activated, and then you do a full IFS session on that thing. You have the insight, you have the emotional release come out, and then yeah, as it's implemented right now, you have integration journal prompts where you go in and you're prompted for the next couple weeks to go in and spend time with the exile that you met in that IFS session, or like hang out with the protectors and just see how they're doing. So you're going to journal about it. We'll also uh, probably early in the new year have some meditations that you do, so like audio meditations where it's customized to that part and you're going in talking to them, visualizing them playing, and just spending time. And so kind of go through this discovery process of here are my triggers, let's capture them when they happen. And some people say they just like to go into a session then, and I think that's awesome. Like maybe it's a really really long bathroom break that they sneak off for once they get triggered. So, but yeah, the discovery happens, transformation happens in a session, and then the integration happens over time. And yeah, my hope is this kind of builds a nice feedback loop as you go, and kind of an engine to help people's inner work. And yeah, our team has been using it weekly. We've been having weekly sessions with the guide and finding like a ton of value. This is also a big problem, so it's been about 9 months of working on it, and yeah, I'd say we're getting closer to something that's like magical, easy, great. But we're still cranking away on it. Yeah, and then what was the second half of the question? Assuming that all made sense.
Yeah, how did it, well, like why did you decide to work on this project in particular?
Mm, yeah, cool. Yeah, so it definitely just you build the thing that you're gonna want to use, and so that was very easy. I got really into climate tech because I wanted to help save the earth. And at a certain point, I just decided that narrative of like Brent the Savior just wasn't holding up on like a individual mythical level, we'll call it. It actually was doing a lot of harm to me, believing I was, not the only one, but I needed to save the earth. There was something that I needed to do there. And yeah, kind of stepping away from and not allowing any Brett saves the world narratives and following where my energy went. The next thing is I just find emotions really fucking fascinating. Like my first therapist, the one that kind of woke me up from living in the head to kind of moving closer to the heart, at least. He was a really lovely Jungian analyst. said this thing where your your inner world is as rich as the outer world. We just have to spend the time to discover that. And yeah, as I've gotten into the inner world stuff, it's so rich, it's so fascinating. I can't hear people's stories enough. And so there was just this recognition of whatever company, whatever product I create, I want to be in it to run it for 8 to 10 years. And yeah, climate tech, robotics, like machine learning. That stuff's fucking cool. And if I hadn't burned out, I probably that was a topic I was capable of doing for 10 years. This thing, I know I'm gonna be like I just cranking at this over the long term because I really love it. And yeah, that felt like a really important prerequisite. So yeah, it felt really lucky to kind of find something at the intersection of a lot of what I believed.
Do you have a sense of how you hope things might unfold in the coming years for Refract?
Mm, yeah, definitely. Um, So short term, we want to make an incredible solo IFS tool. I would love to have more partnerships to support that, like meeting and like partnering with like the IFS Institute, like a few other like these amazing people that are running and like developing these methods and educating people. Like I want to do this right. So I want to do IFS right. But then there are all these other parts work, modalities. There are all these different like journaling review practices, like, and I'd love to just translate them into a factor that, AI can deliver that you can do on your own, like kind of expanding and then having the educational infrastructure to tie all these things together. So, Teapot, like one of the commonalities that I've noticed, especially in like meditation and self therapy, Teapot is like people have tried a fuck ton of modalities and they did that by reading the textbook and going through and like calling the person the expert and finding the guide, and it's a whole hunt to to get into this stuff. And yeah, making it easier for that person to jump in, find the modality that clicks for you, and then go deep on it. It feels really important. So that's maybe the 2 year product vision, like that we're really just nailing a lot of different modalities. We're translating things to do well on your own. I want community built into this thing. This is like solo work is very solo. It's very lonely, and so having a group of peers that you're doing this work with, maybe it's your friends, maybe it's people that we introduce you to, feels very important. But you know, I I do not want people just living like I don't want to be empowering people to just live solitary lives where they're not depending on other people and celebrating wins with each other. So we've got to nail the core tech first. We've got to nail the IFS experience, really understand how to do it well, but then expanding it out once we have that to kind of create these cohort peer structures feels important. And then if we like zoom out all the way, Daniel Thornton had an amazing podcast that he like repodcasted recently with a guy by the name of John Churchill, where they talked about the three strands of awakening, of emotional individuation, soul work, and then spiritual awakening. And when I heard that, it was just an instant body. Yes, this is it. Like Ken Wilber has clean up, grow up, show up, and then the last up. The yeah, it's not there, but
Wake Up, I think.
wake up. Thank you. Yeah. So also has a similar framework, but like I heard those three and just said, yep, that's it. So bringing more soul, especially into the app, I think there's like some amazing things that we can do to facilitate like solo shamanic journeying or imaginal work that I'd love to just support people through. And yeah, maybe there's something on the spiritual awakening side. I view that meta framework as informing our work so much. And we have to nail the basics and we have to nail the core experience. And we're going to get there. But then expanding out into how can we help this like holistic, non-linear, chaotic, beautiful human like navigate those three strands feels yeah, it just feels exciting. Like that's the kind of shit like I wake up excited to build.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Hmm. I love that. What was important to you about finding a project that you thought that you could work on for 8 to 10 years?
Yeah, I think that the benefit of so many projects, like if we go with this 1% growth daily, or maybe 5% growth weekly, like the benefit of so many projects, so many initiatives happen like past year 5 or 6, like because they've had the time for the founder to gain experience, to gain like to become a true expert, like the team, an amazing team to build up around them, like have that depth to really meet something well, and then enough time to actually like grow in the market in a mature way, not in a like flash sugar candy model where we're just going to dump some VC money on something and grow fast, but like really deepen into a market and yeah, and map it. So, if all the I won't say all the gold, but like so much of the gold for me is like after year 5, because that's when we're really, really cooking. But that's a lot of time. That's a lot of time. So yeah, I think it was just really important to find something that was like super central to me so that I could really run the race. And maybe it's longer than 10 years. That'd be cool too. Like I'd love to just keep running this baby.
Hmm. How long has it been now? A bit over a year?
Mm. It's been about 9 months.
Going back to what the app is, how do you talk to users about IFS versus focusing versus I think core transformation is the third one you said?
Yeah, you
Um,
gotta.
like how do you tell them what these modalities are and help them to choose which one to use?
Yeah, definitely. So for now we've just hidden core transformation because I think there's like a education thing. Like I'll use it personally, but we're not gonna launch it publicly until we have like a better story around it. IFS and focusing, or rather focusing and X, have a really interesting relationship. I think focusing is like this fundamental primitive that makes any other therapy work really well. And like, that's how it was designed. Like Eugene Genlin went in and looked at thousands of therapy sessions, said, where did people actually have change? Where did they not? And it turns out like if you listen to a felt sense shift in your body and feel that happen, and really are in touch with what's emerging, the unspeakable thing, rather than the easy to access words. If you're listening for that, change just naturally kind of happens and efficacy. So yeah, the story that we tell is start with focusing, really learn how to tune into that felt sense. This is the like the first primitive skill. The second one is emotional regulation, like emotional self-regulation. And yeah, we're just about to finish a cohort of 5 people that we haven't talked about publicly much, but yeah, kind of trying to teach these prerequisite skills to people and like learning about your emotion or your nervous system, learning how to breathe, learning how to box breathe, how to bring yourself back, how to ask parts to unblend, like especially when you're doing this work alone. If you can listen to a part, listen to a felt sense well enough, you're gonna uncover some like surprising psychological material. And sometimes that can be very distressing. And so being able to self-regulate through that feels like the second thing that we really try and communicate and make sure that for now, just all of our users can self-regulate well. We're not going to put someone on the platform unless they're really, we feel after talking to them that we're confident that we're setting them up for success. And then, yeah, so then you have those prerequisites, and that feeds into IFS or core transformation. Like now that you have all that, you know how to listen to yourself, you know how to like hold whatever comes up well. Yeah, we're gonna jump into it.